Hi, my name is Kat Davis. This is part 2 of Painted Paper Craftin, Santa Treat Pocket. And right now, we've already prepped the project in an earlier video that I shown. And this is the completed project. And now we're going to cover the base coating of the two pieces, the Santa base and the actual pocket. While I'm not real fussy, like I said, about when I trace on my lines on a project like this, I am very fussy about the kinds of paints that I use. And I kind of stick to DecoArt Americana acrylics. I like their color range, their clarity, their coverage, and so I'm very picky about that. And I'm picky about my brushes. I like the Lowell Cornell Soft Comfort brushes. The first thing we're going to do is for the base coating, we'll need 5 colors. We'll need DecoArt Americana's Warm White, Flesh Tone, Rookwood Red, Mink Tan, and Lamp Black. And I always start with the face. And for you beginners, base coating means exactly what it sounds like. You're just going to put the first color of paint on your project. And the rule of thumb when you are decorative painting is to use as large a brush as the surface will allow. And for this particular project, we'll be using 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, 3/4 inch angular brushes, and I believe it's a number 4 chisel blender for the eyebrows. So with the 1/4 inch brush, it's a smaller area, so I used that to paint on the face. Then you're going to base the hat brim with Mink Tan. And I usually fill the brush and just do long strokes going around the curves. Then I'm going to base the hat area. That's with Rookwood Red. It's my favorite red. That and cranberry wine are my favorite red colors to use for Christmas decorations. And you just want to paint right up to your sewing line. Then I'm going to start basing in the white for the pocket and the beard. Now, because we've hot glued some lines on there, you have to make sure that you really get into the nooks and crannies when you're base coating. Now also for this area, I'm using a larger brush. I'm using the 3/4 inch because it's a larger area. And I'm kind of putting a fairly heavy coat on so that it will cover all of the glue. There's one of those wicked strings I was talking about earlier. So I just kind of swish the brush back and forth to make sure I get inside all the nooks and crannies. And this is base coating is where I pay attention to the lines. And so I've got the pocket based on, and I'm going to set that aside to dry. And because it's a heavier coat to cover the glue, it's going to take a little longer to dry than normal. Oops, that's one of those painter's mistakes that we often make. I'm just going to take my finger and kind of dipped it in a little bit of water. And now I'm going to have to rebase. But, you know, that's one of the things that happens that when we decorative paint. And fortunately, it's very easy to correct those kind of mistakes. So I'm just repainting that area. And I probably should repaint just a little bit in this mink tan area too, although it really didn't show up. Most of the mistakes showed up in the rookwood red area. Okay, so now I'm going to paint that beard in, being sure once again to get into all the nooks and the crannies. Now, typically in decorative painting, usually when you trace just your main lines, not your eyes and little details like that. And then after you've done your initial base coat, you would lay down the pattern on top of the paper again and trace on the details. However, because we used hot glue on this, it's impossible to get the pattern on again. So one of the things I do when I am making this project, because the beard and the mustache are both white, I will not base the mustache in until we've gone on to the next project, shading, so that I know where to shade, where the lines will be to shade for this project. So I'm just going to base coat the beard here. Then I'm going to, using my favorite, it's the easiest way to make eyes when you're not doing real professional eyes, when you just need real simple eyes, is I'll take the end of a brush, typically a very small brush, and I'll just dip it into the black. I can kind of see through the flesh tone color where the eyes were. So we're going to lay down the eyes. Then we're going to take the number 4 chisel blender. I love these soft comfort brushes. They've got a grip on there that is so comfortable for the fingers. And we're going to simply lay down a line of white paint, or I use warm white for the eyebrows. And then the last step that I do on the base coat is I'm going to do some stripes on Santa's hat. So I use usually a 10-aught liner brush, and I just go down and make some squiggly jiggly lines across Santa's hat brim. And then I'll do a couple lines, real jiggly squiggly, going the opposite way of the hat brim. And now I'm going to set this aside to dry, and then when it's dry we'll come back and we'll do part 3, which is shading your project.